Yes, good morning, students. There is a query, ma'am, is it compulsory to write the compound microscope experiment only on the one page? No, if it doesn't get completed on the one page, then you can continue a half part on this next page. But the thing is that diagram it should be drawn on the blank page, and whatever the text I have given you through the Prism portal, you have to copy down all that, like the parts of the compound microscope, like the base, pillar, all these on the rule page. So yes, if you are not in the WhatsApp group, Shreya Shinde, please, yes, please give me your number. I will add you. Ma'am, can you please repeat where to write the practical? You have to write the practicals in the biology activity book that you get from the school. At the you can see at the back side of it in the last some pages are there. Some pages are there. Rule page as well as the blank pages are there. So there only you have to write. You need not have to prepare a separate practical record book. No, in that activity book you can complete it. Your all assignments. So yes, 1 minute. I am 1 minute. Yes, I am sharing you my, yes, this is my school official email ID, pisjcxibiochem at the gmail.com. Please note it down, and on it, please you send me your number, your WhatsApp number, along with your name and your division into which I have to add you. Please provide me all the details. So I will add you accordingly. Fine. So it will be much easy for me to track. Fine. Fine. Note down my email ID, pisjcxi. I have already written in the chat box, pisjcxi biochem at the rate gmail.com. Fine. So we start with today's session. Ma'am, we have to write only one first experiment. Yes, first experiment you have to write, and for I will be sharing you the YouTube link for it. I have already recorded it. First and second experiment, both I will be sending you shortly. Fine. So you will see the demonstration of these two, explanation of these two experiments. Fine. Fine. So we start. 1 minute. So yes, so this was our last slide of the previous session, in which in the last session, what we have discussed, we have studied about the plasma membrane. We know that this plasma membrane, it is also known as a cell membrane. It is the outermost boundary of the living cells, most of the living cells. Fine. So yes, so we have already discussed it. Now today we will start with the fluid mosaic model. Fine. This is a very famous model, fluid mosaic model. It was proposed by S.J. Singer and J. Nicholson in 1972 to explain the structure of the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Fine. So what this model, it actually states that this plasma membrane, here you can see in this picture, this plasma membrane or the cell membrane, it is composed of lipid bilayer. Here in this picture, in this diagram, you can see In this diagram, you can see this is the lipid bilayer. This is the lipid bilayer. Here you can see the lipid bilayer is there. Fine. And this lipid bilayer, it is covered on both the sides as well, for example, on the outer side as well as on the inner side by the means of the globular proteins, by the globular protein molecule. So this fluid mosaic model, it states that this plasma membrane, it composed of mainly two biomolecules. First, it is a lipid which is arranged in the form of this lipid bilayer, and this lipid bilayer, it is covered on both the side, it is the outer as well as on the inner side by the means of these globular proteins. Here you can see the globular proteins are there, this blue one. Here you can see the globular proteins are there. Yeah, proteins are there. Or this red one, it is an intrinsic protein. Intrinsic protein means integral proteins. Integral proteins means these are the proteins which partially or wholly penetrate this lipid bilayer. Fine. Here you can see, and they are protruding out from these lipid bilayer. Fine. So, on the basis of their location, these globular protein can be of the two types. We have already discussed in the last class. For example, all those proteins which are present on the outer, surface, these are called as the extrinsic protein. While all those proteins which are present inside the lipid bilayer, for example, this one, it is present inside the lipid bilayer. So this is called as the integral protein or the intrinsic protein. And all these are the globular proteins. Globular means they are the spherical proteins. Fine. And what is the structure of this lipids? These lipids, first of all, they are the phospholipid molecules. They are amphipathic in nature. Amphipathic means they are having the two different characteristics in them. They are dual in nature. What is their dual nature? You can see there is one head is there and one tail is there. Fine. So this head, it is a hydrophilic head, and this tail, it is a hydrophobic. It is hydrophobic in nature. So that's why each of these phospholipid molecules, which is forming a part of this lipid bilayer, actually it is amphipathic in nature. Fine. So this is the organization. This is the structure which is proposed by this fluid mosaic model. Fine. One more thing. Why the word mosaic is there in this model? The thing is that here both the lipids and the protein molecules, they both are arranged in a mosaic pattern within the plasma membrane. For example, mosaic means there are certain pieces. So in this case, these pieces, they are nothing but these are the lipids and proteins, and you arrange them in a mosaic fashion, in a mosaic manner. You collect all these pieces and arrange them. So this is how both these lipids and proteins, they are arranged in a mosaic pattern within the plasma membrane. Fine. Now, one more thing. This plasma membrane, it is not static. It is flexible. It is dynamic in nature. What does it mean? That this plasma membrane, it shows some movement inside it. So that's why the lipids as well as the intrinsic protein, they are able to make certain movements within this lipid bilayer, which provides this plasma membrane the fluid nature of it. Fine, fluid nature, so that it can move, so that it can allow the substances to pass through it easily. Fine. So this is all due to this semi-fluid nature of this plasma membrane. Fine. Now moving on to the next slide. Now, yes, the next is a Now, the plasma membrane is dynamic in nature, which means that both of its component of the plasma membrane, that is the lipids. Here you can see the lipids are there, and the proteins. These proteins are there. Both show some kind of the movements within this plasma membrane, and their organization is not static, but it is flexible. Fine. Now, what are these movements? First of all, first movement. A rapid internal rotation of flexing, it can be observed within each lipid molecule. Fine, they can rotate internally, and flexing means they can stretch themselves. So this is with each lipid molecule, they can do both of these movements on their own. Fine. Second movement, rapid lateral diffusion of lipids can occur. Lateral diffusion means they can simply switch on their place. This can go there and this can go there. So simply they can simply switch on their place. Yeah, fine. Now, next movement is a flip-flop movement is there, in which a transfer of the lipid, it occurs from one bilayer to another. That means they are crossing their membranes from one to another. Initially, they were simply switching their place. Fine. Now they are simply changing their place from one bilayer to the another bilayer. Fine. So this is the flip-flop movement. The fourth and the last kind of the movement is that these lipid molecules, they can rotate on their own axis. So this is the structure of this lipid molecule. They can rotate. For example, the Earth it rotates on its own axis. So like that, they can rotate on their own axis. Fine. So all these four movements, they are there in both the lipids and proteins, which provides fluidity to this plasma membrane. Now, next, moving on to the next slide. Now we will discuss the transport of substances across the plasma membrane. We know that the plasma membrane or the cell membrane, it is selectively permeable in nature. Fine. Uh, Selectively permeable in nature, what does it mean? It means that it allows only some molecules to pass through and stop others. So it is at her wish that what molecules it can pass through and what not. So such kind of the behavior of this plasma membrane is called as a selectively permeable. Fine. Now, so there are the two modes of the transport that can be possible across the plasma membrane. These are the passive transport and the active transport. What are these passive and active transport? These passive and active transport, they are the two systems of transporting the molecules or the substances across the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So these are only the two systems by which the molecules or the substances like the water, like the glucose, or any other ions, they can simply pass through the this cell membrane. Fine. Passive transport and active transport. Now, what is the difference between this passive transport and active transport? The difference is that this passive transport, here the movement of water, it occurs along the concentration gradient, that is from high concentration gradient to the low concentration gradient, high to the low concentration gradient. And it is very simple. It is a kind of the diffusion process in which no energy is required. Now, the active transport is that here, the transport of the substances or the molecule, it will occur against the concentration gradient, that is from the low to the high. And for this, you will be requiring the energy. So with the expenditure of energy, the transport of the glucose or the mineral ions, it can be done across the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So this is the basic difference between the passive means simple diffusion or the facilitated diffusion of the molecules or the substances across the plasma membrane without the expenditure of any energy. Active transport means the transport of the substances or the molecules against the concentration gradient from low to high concentration gradient with the expenditure of energy. Fine. Now moving on to the next slide. Now, here you can see yes. First, we will discuss the passive transport in the great detail. In this passive transport, the movement of the substances or the molecules, it occurs across the cell membrane without the requirement of any energy, because here the transport of the substances, it is occurring along the concentration gradient, that is from the high to low. And it is very simple. High to low, they can simply diffuse with the help of the simple diffusion. Fine. So that's why there is no requirement of energy. Fine. Here you can see here in this diagram you can see here they are the molecules. It is in the high concentration is here, and here is the low concentration of these molecules. Fine. So this is the concentration gradient from high to low. So they will easily diffuse from high to low concentration without any energy. So such type of the transport, it is called as a passive transport. Here again, this is the high and this is the low. Again, it is the transport of substances. Again, it is occurring along the concentration gradient. So again, it is a passive transport. Examples are the, for example, in the lungs. For example, in the lungs, the exchange of gases which takes place at the alveoli. So at the alveoli, what happens? The carbon dioxide, it is given off. Exchange of gases, it occurs. Carbon dioxide, it is given on, and oxygen is just taken in. It is taken in. So this kind of the, it is a kind of the simple diffusion or the passive transport which is occurring at this alveoli, which is in the lungs. So this is the best example of this passive transport. Other examples, it includes the water molecules transport or any other transport. Fine. So these are the all examples of the passive transport. Now moving on to the next slide. Now the active transport. Fine. Now here the movement of substances or the molecules, it occurs across the membrane against the concentration gradient, that is from the low to higher concentration, and for this you require the energy, you require the expenditure of energy. And in what form the energy it is supplied? Can anyone write in the chat box in what form this energy actually it is supplied? It is actually supplied. Please write in the chat box. Yes, it is the ATP. Yes, it is the ATP molecules. In this form only the energy it is supplied. Energy it is supplied. So with the help of these molecules, they simply pass on from the low concentration. Here you can see the low concentration there towards the higher concentration against the concentration gradient across this lipid bilayer of this plasma membrane. Examples, best example, it is the uptake of the glucose in the intestine. Uptake of the glucose in the intestine, it requires the expenditure of energy so that our intestinal villi, it can uptake that glucose, it can absorb that glucose. Fine. And another best example is the sodium potassium pump. Sodium potassium pump. It is also called as the Na plus A plus pump. It is also written like that, pump, or it is also called as a sodium potassium ATPase. Sodium potassium ATPase. See, such kind of the sodium potassium pumps, where it is found? Can anyone write in the chat box? Can anyone know where such kind of the ion transfer it takes place? Ionic transfer it takes place in what membranes? Yes, neuronal membranes. Yes, in the membranes of the neurons. In the membranes of the neurons. In these membranes of the neurons, sodium potassium pumps, they are found. They are located. So what they are doing? They are simply transferring. They are simply doing the exchange of ions. They are simply doing the exchange of ions. You see, here you can see in this diagram. 1 minute. Here you can see in this diagram. So this sodium potassium pump, the main function of it is that to transport the sodium ions and the potassium ion across this cell membrane, with the hydrolysis of this ATP molecule, the energy, the required energy, it is released, and with it, The 3 sodium ions, they are moved out, and 2 potassium ions, they are simply moved into the cell. Fine. So this is how this sodium potassium pump, it works in the membranes of the neurons. Fine. So it's a best example of the active transport, where energy is consumed while transferring the substances like ions. Other examples, it can also be like that, like the plant roots. For example, plant roots. Fine. Plant roots. These are the plant roots. Fine. So these roots, these plants roots, they are in the soil, and in the soil, variety of the minerals are there. Variety of the minerals are there. So these roots of the plant, if they want to absorb the minerals which are present in them, so they simply absorb it with the help of the these active transport. Active transport. Now the next slide is now moving on to the next, osmosis. This you have done in your earlier classes also. Osmosis, the movement of the water by the simple diffusion process. It is called as the osmosis. So this osmosis, it is a very simple process in which the movement of the water, it takes place from the higher water potential or the higher water concentration gradient to its low water potential gradient. Fine, this is the high water potential and this is the low water potential. Fine. So here the movement of the water, it will take place like that. Fine. Now here you can see in this diagram a selectively permeable membrane or the semi-permeable membrane. It is there um, in this vessel, which is separating the two different water solutions from each other. So this is the one water solution which is having the high water potential. Means here the sugar molecule, these green sugar molecules, they are almost absent. They are almost absent. Nil sugar molecules are there. So that's why here the water potential or the water concentration is very high. It is very high. Fine, it is very high. Now here in this another water solution, here the sugar molecules are there. So for example, when you take a glass of water and you simply add a sugar in it, what will happen? Your water molecule, it gets replaced by the means of the solute molecules, that is the sugar that you are adding into it. So what it is happening here in this solution, now this sugar solution, what will happen? Your water, actual water potential is less, because here the water molecule, they have been replaced by the solute molecule, by the sugar molecule. That's why such kind of the sugar solutions, they have the low water potential, they have the low water gradient. Fine. So here if we separate, if two such solutions, they are separated by the means of this semi permeable membrane or the selectively permeable membrane, then what will happen? Then the movement of the water, it will occur across this selectively permeable membrane from its high water potential to its low water potential, and it will go till then both the concentration, it becomes equal. Fine. Concentration जब तक isotonic जब तक equal नहीं हो जाती concentration, till that level it will go on, it will go on. So such movement of water from the region of high water potential to the region of low water potential, it is called as the osmosis. Fine. See, we will do some, see, in the last class, in the last year, in 2019-20, we simply did a very simple experiment based on this osmosis. In that, what we did, we take a potato, and we simply peel the potato. And what we did, we simply cut this potato like this. So it will be looking like this. And we created a hole inside it. We dig a hole inside it. We dig a hole inside it. Fine. So now it will be looking like this. Fine. It will be looking like this. So there is a cavity, there is a pit inside it. And we filled it pit with a high concentrated sugar solution. High concentrated sugar solution that we prepared simply in the laboratory by the means of the by adding large amount of the sugar in a very small quantity of the water. So this is how we have prepared it, and we added it, and we simply mark that level, initial level, with the help of a thumb, with the help of a pin, with the help of a all pin or anything. Fine, and we put this this potato now is called as a potato osmometer. Osmometer. Why? Because here in this, now observe, you will simply observe the process of osmosis by your own eyes. By your own eyes. It is called as a potato osmometer or potato osmoscope. Fine. Potato osmometer or the potato osmoscope, and we put whole this potato into a beaker or in a petri dish containing a normal water, containing normal tap water, and we left aside this experimental setup for about 1 hour or minimum 2 hours. Now you predict me, मैं तो बताऊंगी result, what was the result. Now you predict me what will happen after 1 hour or the 2 hours. You just simply guess and write in the chat box. What will happen? What will happen when I put this potato containing a concentrated sugar solution in this in its pit into the beaker or the into the beaker or the petri dish containing the normal water? Yes, the osmosis will happen. The osmosis will happen. Whatever the water it is there in this petri dish or the beaker, it will start moving. It will start moving. It will start populating all these cells, all these potato cell, and finally the water level it will rise. So this is the initial water level, and this is the final water level. And sometimes within 2 to 3 hours, this whole pit it gets filled with the water, and the water it starts flowing outside. So this is how this rise in the level of the water it occurs. It mainly occurs due to the process of osmosis. Fine. So this is a very simple experiment. See, this experiment, it was a very good experiment. It was deleted, but uh, I will still show you, I will still demonstrate you how this osmosis it will take place and how to create this potato osmometer. Fine. So in shortly, I will demonstrate this process to you. Fine. So if you have any query, then you can ask me. Fine. You can ask me because I have to take your attendance, and then we will resume. Uh, the last slide is there. So yes, now moving on to the next slide. The next, so now this slide will be the last for today's session, and this plasma membrane topic will end. Now tomorrow we will start with the cell wall. So now the functions of the plasma membrane. See, this plasma membrane performs a variety of the functions. First of all, it is the outermost boundary of all the living cells, of all the living cells. And we know that, uh, see, this plasma membrane is selectively permeable in nature. And it plays a very important role in the transport of the substances or the molecules like glucose, like ions, everything like water molecules into and outside the cell. Fine. So this plasma membrane actually act as a barrier, it acts as a barrier or it acts like a channel. It acts like a channel through which the transport of the substances it can occur into and outside of the cell. Now, see, this plasma membrane, it also controls the cell form. Cell form means cell shape or the cell structure. And it also controls the cellular activity because whatever the substance they are moving in and out, it is all regulated by this cell membrane. That's why. So in this way, it can regulate the cellular activities also. Fine. Now, this plasma membrane, it also controls the cellular semi-permeability. We have already studied that how it is semi-permeability, it is allowing the transfer of the water molecules or the ions or through the sodium potassium ions, how three sodium ions they are moving out and two potassium ions they are coming in. So this is all, and the reabsorption. Reabsorption, for example, in the intestine. The intestinal villi, they simply absorb the nuclear. They simply uptake the glucose. They simply uptake the glucose. So here the process involved will be the active transport. So with the help of the active transport mode, the glucose or the sugar, it is absorbed by the intestinal villi and it is then made available for your use, for your consumption or the consumption by your body. And the excretion, whatever the substances or the nitrogenous substances that want to be excreted, they are also excreted by the means of the plasma membrane. Best example is the amoeba. For example, amoeba, we take the example, simplest organism like the amoeba. In amoeba, what is its structure? What is its structure? Amoeba, we know that it is a unicellular structure. Its body is irregularly shaped. So, whatever the waste it is produced by the process of the digestion, it is simply excreted out through its cell membrane, through its plasma membrane only, through its plasma membrane only. So, this is a very simple example that we see in the amoeba, but we are the multicellular organism. So here, this process of excretion, it is carried out by our excretory system, but by our excretory system. But this is the basis. This is the basis how the plasma membrane actually plays a role in the excretion. Fine. Now the next is the secretion. For example, the secretion of the protein, the secretion of the enzymes, hormone, secretion of the enzymes, whatever the thing is there, all these they are also secreted by this plasma membrane into the inter into the intercellular space. What is the meaning of intercellular space? This is the one cell and this is the another cell. Whatever the space is there in between these two, this is called as the intercellular space. What will happen? It will evaginate out and the secretory vesicle, it will be given out. And whatever the content they are there in this secretory vesicle, they are simply released into this intracellular space. Fine? Intracellular space. Fine. And we know that on these plasma membranes, the cell receptors are also there. What are these cell receptors? These are nothing but these are the protein receptors which are present, and whatever, for example, it is a kind of the neurotransmitter. It is a kind of the neurotransmitter. Can anyone write in the chat box what kind of neurotransmitter it is secreted at the synapses, at the chemical synapses, at the chemical synapses? Acetylcholine. Yes, it is acetylcholine. For example, this neurotransmitter, it is secreted. It is secreted from the synaptic membranes of this neuron. Now, what will happen? This neurotransmitter acetylcholine, it will bind to the cell receptors which are located onto the plasma membrane or the cell membrane of the another, whether it is a muscle or whether it is another neuron. So this is how the message it is transferred from the one cell to the another cell. So this is how this plasma membrane also helps in the secretion And second, it also helps in the cell-to-cell communication or the passing of the signal or the signal transduction. So this is how it happens. This is how it happens. And all these functions, all these roles, they are very important for the cellular growth, for the formation of intracellular junctions, and for the cell division, like the mitosis and meiosis. And this plasma membrane, it also plays a very important role in the cell recognition. What happens when a person whose kidney is failed and the doctor asks him for the kidney transplantation, and some other person's kidney, it is transplanted into it. But before this organ transplantation, it could be done. First of all, what doctor it do? It simply do the testing. सबसे पहले it do the testing. For example, donor and recipient matching is there. Matching is there. If this matching is done, from the close relative, it can take the kidney. If this matching is done, then only that organ transplantation it could be done. Otherwise, what will happen if this matching is not done? If this cellular matching is not done, then our body it will reject that part, because that part is foreign to our body. That part it is called as a graft for our body. Our body will reject it. How it will reject it? Because in our human body we have a well developed immune system, and immune system, because we have a well developed immune system. So whenever any foreign tissue, cell or organ it is transplanted into our body first checks it, recognize it, whether it is my own part or some other part. If it is some other part, it will totally reject it. So this is how the cell membrane plays a very important role, because the certain proteins they are located on this plasma membrane. These are called as the histocompatibility complex protein. Actually, these are will come in the higher classes, that play a vital role in the cell recognition process as well as in the cell adhesion. Adhesion means when one cell it gets stick to the another cell. So this adhesion it can only be possible with the membranes only, because here both of these membranes they will fuse together. Fine. So this is all about plasma membrane. If you have any query, then ask me. I open your chat box. Yes, if you have any query, then ask me. Because tomorrow we will be starting with the cell wall that is found in the plant cells. Ma'am, which is the stain used in the Gram staining? It is only the Gram stain only. It is the Gram stain only. It is a very simple experiment. You can easily perform in the laboratory. What you will do, I will share you my notes. What you will do, you simply bring a curd. Simply bring a curd to your biology laboratory, and you simply take a curd and put a small drop of the curd onto the slide, and that smear, and then simply spread that one drop of the curd with the another slide. So what will happen? A small smear will appear on both the slide or the one slide. Now stain it with the help of the Gram stain. It is available in the market, a Gram stain, and then you simply observe that in your microscope, and you will see how which bacterial cell they have taken up the stain. They will be called as the Gram positive bacteria. Which have not taken the stain, they will be called as the Gram negative bacteria. So this is how it is a very simple experiment that can be performed in the laboratory. Yes, the drive we have already shared you, the link we have already shared you. You simply complete your experiment and then upload its picture onto the your respective Google Drive link, whatever is shared to you. Ma'am, please tell that protein name you just told now for the cell return, histocompatibility complex proteins. These are the ma'am, the biology practical should you told write in the lab manual. Yes, you have to write in the lab manual. Please use the blue gel pen only, no black pen, because black pen we are using for the correction. We are using for the correction. So please don't write your journals with the black pen. Use only the blue gel pen only. Fine. Do we have to, yes, you have to draw the diagram of the microscope. See, this is the biology, and it you have to draw the lot of diagrams. If diagram is there, you simply have to draw it. Yes, I will share you notes. I will share you the notes. Fine. So yes, you have to send the first practical on the Google Drive, and soon I will be sending you the list of the projects. Fine. So any student can take up any one topic and can complete the project and then submit. For submission time will be big, like 1 month. Yes, today I will send it. Fine. From the PPT, I have to convert into the PDF or the so that nobody can edit it, and then I will. Fine. So have a good day. Have a nice day. I end meeting for you all because the next class will start soon. Fine. So I have to empty my room for the next lecture. See the difference between the compound microscope and the electron microscope is this. For the compound microscope, we are using the light as a light source, natural light, sunlight. But in the electron microscope, we do not use the light. We use the electrons. We use the electrons for viewing the objects. So our source will be different. Fine. So this is the difference between the compound microscope and the electron microscope. And that's why the resolution of electron microscope is much X times higher as compared to the normal compound microscope, in which we are using the normal light as a light source. Fine. So, end meeting for you all. Have a good day. Have a nice day. Have a blessed day.